What's going on, guys? So this is what we got going on this morning. We have 6 F-250s. It's a mixture of Tremors, Lariats, and some other trims. These are going to be going to a towing course. On this side, we have 8 Tremors and other four-wheel drive Super Duties that will be going to an off-road course. And on this side, we have a couple 350s that are going to be going to a towing course as well. So you kind of get to pick which route you want to go, whether you want to start with the towing side or the off-road side. I'm going to start with the towing side, and even these 4 trucks, I'm sorry, I believe 2 of these are Tremors. So yeah, they have this Tremor out here in a 350 package that we're going to take out to the towing site. And we're not actually going to be using these specific trucks to tow. They already have trucks that are out there that are ready to be hitched up or are hitched up already to different types of trailers, and we'll be towing those. But you can just see the diversity of trucks here. And these are what all the journalists are going to be taking out to that filming location. Pretty cool setup, guys. So we're going to hit the road here in about the next 10-15 minutes, and we will be back. The one thing I noticed about the new truck, especially in the Platinum trim, is this new Fender trim piece that they put in place, which I really think makes the truck stand out versus trucks that don't have it. And this is something that you saw on the higher spec F-150s, but it's now good to see that they've brought it to the Super Duty line, because I really think it finishes off the truck well, especially in this Tremor trim. It really adds some flair to the nicer, larger tires that you get, and it adds just to that overall rugged look. So I wanted to give you all a shot of what the headlight cutoff looks like. And you can see the improved reflector design definitely gives it a much cleaner light output. And you can see specifically where it hits the road. And that's simply because of this new rounded style reflector design. Superior design to what's on the 2017 model, in my opinion. But you can definitely see how much cleaner and sharper that cutoff line is, and that matters to a lot of people. A lot of people spend a lot of money trying to get their headlights to what they want them to be, and that is a definite improvement. So this is a truck we're taking. This is the F-250 Limited with the Powerstroke diesel. This is a really cool package. I'm really interested in a couple things when we drive this truck. First of all, a lot of people are saying that the ride comfort is improved, that it basically handles a lot better, so I'm interested in that. But I'm also going to be riding with the diesel engine manager, so the one who actually helped design this engine and make sure it does what it's supposed to do. He's going to be answering some questions that people have asked me in the comment section. So we're about to hit the road. We'll be right back. All right, guys, so we are now on the road. We are headed to our first waypoint. We are going to an off-road course to check out how this limited trim F-250 handles it. We weren't able to grab a Tremor package truck, but I'm going to be pretty interested in knowing how the limited trim with the relatively more road design tires is going to handle an off-road course. I think we're actually going to switch trucks when we get out there, so we'll probably get into a different truck.
Get into different trucks.
Yep, behind me is the voice of the legendary David Ives. So he is, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm David Ives, Diesel Technical Leader at Ford. Glad to be here.
We are going to talk about a few topics that come up on the channel every time I post about the new diesel engines, whether it was the transition from 2011 to 2013 or 2013 to 2017 or now 2017 to 2020. And a question that I get quite often is related to the fuel system. So in 2011, they introduced the CP4 fuel pump, and I believe it's gone through some minor revisions from that point all the way to today. But Dave, can you take a moment and kind of explain any changes that have occurred to the fuel system, specifically the fuel pump, and how it's improved or how it's changed over the last several years?
Yeah, so first for the 2015 model year for pickups, we upgraded the pump, increased the stroke of the fuel pump to handle the increased output when we went from 400 to 440 horsepower. Basic structure of the pump stayed the same. It's the same crankcase, same heads, same control valves, same metering valve. But you know, much like you increase the stroke of an engine to make an engine bigger, we did the same thing on the fuel pump. So that was 2015. In 2017, you know, we upgraded the vehicle. The styling was all completely different. The fuel pump stayed the same through 2017. For 2020, we've increased the fuel pressure from 2,000 bar, which is about 30,000 psi, to 2,500 bar, which is about 38,000 psi. When we did that, the fuel system supplier also, once again, upgraded the fuel pump, this time increasing the structural capability of it to handle the extra, 25% increase in pressure, and also increase the fuel handling capacity for the increased power that is available now for 2020. So it's an even more significant upgrade for 2020 than it was in 2015. And again, this was done with the interest of durability and reliability in mind while delivering the function that the 2,500 bar pressure allows in terms of performance and fuel economy.
Okay, in terms of safety features that are in place to prevent water from getting into the fuel system, because if anybody who owns a diesel vehicle knows, especially one with a high pressure fuel system, getting water into your system is detrimental. And that is something that some people claimed they dealt with earlier model trucks with the CP4 fuel pump, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the fuel pump, right? It has more to do with where you buy your fuel and the function of the water fuel separator.
Yes. So back on, you remember the 2015 model year, at the 2015 model year, we upgraded the water separation system, increasing the capacity that will hold before the light comes on, and increasing the capacity after the light comes on and before the system becomes overwhelmed with the contaminant. So we've, and I think it's almost approximately doubled in both instances that we did in 2015 to give the customer more time once the light comes on to drain the separator, and also more carrying capacity before the light comes on. But I can't emphasize this enough. When that light comes on, a customer needs to immediately stop and drain the water separator to protect the product.
Yep, and the water separator is simply a valve at the bottom of the separator. You twist open and drain, about a half a pint of fuel out, and you should see the water mixture with it?
Yes. Yeah, and it's right under it's still positioned from 2011 on, it's still positioned right underneath the driver's side door.
Okay. Now, another question I have is, and this is unfortunately something that happens, and a lot of people, you pretty much stop breathing when this happens, but you pull up to a fuel station and somebody puts unleaded fuel in a diesel truck. It happens a lot, actually, and I know that people, that's a heart attack moment for a lot of folks.
Sure it is.
But what is the first thing you should do once you've realized that you've introduced the improper fuel type into your tank?
First thing is get hold of a dealership and have the vehicle towed in. Don't try to drive it.
Okay, so tow the vehicle in. If you are in a position where that's not possible, but let's say you have a way of draining the tank out, do you drain the tank, or do you still get the vehicle towed?
If possible, you really want to get the vehicle to a dealership and have the fuel system fully checked out.
Okay, and the minute you start it is where the problem happens, right? Because pulling it in.
Once you start, fuel begins to circulate through the system, and it's better to be safe than sorry. Best advice is get it to a dealership as quick as possible. Don't run it with gas in the mixture.
Okay, and a lot of the precautions in avoiding contaminated fuel or fuel that has water in it is just to go to places that circulate through fuel more often. Truck stops, places that you see that are really busy. They're going to have the freshest supply, and that also goes with your diesel exhaust fluid as well, right?
Yeah, it's best to go to a high volume service station for both fuel and DEF where possible. It's not always possible. All these service stations should have good clean fuel, but just in case they don't, that's why we have this water separation system on the truck. And also in guarding against other contaminants, that's why we still have one of our features since the 2011 introduction. We have both a primary fuel filter that filters down to 10 microns. We have a secondary filter that's mounted up on the engine that filters down to 4 microns to protect the engine from any other kind of solid contaminants.
Yep, and the price of those fuel filters have actually gone down. I remember they were significantly more when I had my 2011 truck, and now it's roughly $75, $80 for a kit. So what I've been doing is I just change the fuel filter when I change my oil. I know that that's a little bit you know, more than necessary. I think what fuel filters generally get about 15,000 miles on them, or 20,000.
Yeah, I think the service interval for the fuel filters is 15K.
Yep. So if you change it around the 8 to 10K mark, I think you're in better shape, and it's just extra precaution, especially if you have contaminants that have collected in the fuel filters, right?
Right.
Now, another question, and this is a big one, because I've done videos on this, and there's different answers from different folks. Fuel additives. So I spoke with a major fleet. It's an oil-filled fleet operation that has 3,000 Super Duty pickups, and they have a few Rams, and they have a few General Motors trucks. And I asked them, what fuel additives do they use to help maintain their trucks? And they said nothing. They've never used fuel additives in their trucks. They usually get a 350,000 mile service out of their trucks. But they didn't necessarily advise against using fuel additives, but they said that they think it's a waste of money, and it's not necessarily something that you need on these modern diesel trucks. What is your take from the manufacturer's perspective on using fuel additives on modern diesel engines?
We're aligned with what you just said. The product's designed to run on street fuel. None of those additives are necessary. A lot of them won't hurt the product. We don't necessarily discourage using it, or using them, but we do not recommend any of them either.
Yep, and I think the only one that you would recommend would be an anti-gel additive in the event you go to cold weather, or you go from a transition from warm to cold weather, right?
Right.
Okay. So when it comes to overall reliability of this diesel engine platform, a lot of people want to know, what is the service life of a truck like this? At what point, if everything's been running great and I haven't had any major issues, at what point do I say, okay, this engine is probably at that point where it's going to meet its life expectancy? I know from a fleet perspective, they usually like to apply a 350,000 mile number to it, but I know some of these engines have gone well over 1 million miles. In your opinion, is there really an end to the life of this engine if it's well maintained?
Well, we designed a 10-year service life and 250,000 mile service life, but like you said, a lot of our customers have gotten 1 million miles out of the product. So depending on how the customer maintains and uses the engine in the vehicle, certainly much longer life than our design life is possible.
Absolutely. So from a towing perspective, from a torque perspective, from everything you've built to make this truck what it is, do you feel that 10 years, 250,000 miles, you could apply that to relatively heavy work, towing trailers, towing RVs, towing goosenecks?
We feel that that design life is applicable to our entire customer base. So right on through the 99th percentile customer can use this product for 10 years, 250,000 miles. So all those usage patterns you just described, the vehicle should be capable to that.
Yep. And first major service indicator, what are we generally seeing? What is the first mileage threshold that you meet before you really have to look at doing a major service to the truck? Is it 150,000 or?
Specific to the engine, there shouldn't be anything major that needs to be serviced besides coolant for 250,000 miles.
Man, all right? That's amazing.
As far as unscheduled maintenance, okay? Now, the rest of the vehicle, some of the, when it comes to brakes, tires, shocks, I'm not familiar with what specifically the service intervals are, but everything's spelled out in the owner's manual as far as the engine, and there should be no major rehabilitation required to the engine throughout the useful life.
And that brings up a good point. Man, I remember back in the 90s when I had a sports car, a specific sports car, if you didn't get the timing belt changed at 60,000 miles based on the manufacturer's recommendation, and this was about a $2,000 service call, you risked destroying your engine. And how far have engines come that you can go 250,000 miles without expecting any major issue, or without the manufacturer requiring you to do something that keeps that engine functional? That's just a testament to manufacturing, to what you guys are able to accomplish, especially considering what these trucks are built for. And when you go to RV campgrounds, when you go to commercial fleets and you see just the number of heavy-duty trucks they have out there, and this is really across all manufacturers. You know, when we compare how reliable the Powerstroke platform is to the Cummins platform to the Duramax platform, they're all great platforms now. You really can't go wrong with a modern diesel engine. But the win-win for the buyer is the fact that you can go out, get one heck of a powerful truck, and know that the next year the manufacturer that competes against them is going to come out with something bigger possibly. And in the case of Super Duty, you guys are the industry leader right now. No one can touch your numbers, and you didn't make it by a small margin, you made it by a big margin. And it wasn't 200 additional pounds worth of max tow capability, it was 2,000 pounds worth of max tow capability. We're approaching loads that semi-tractor trailers pull. And that's crazy in a light-duty pickup truck. And when I say light-duty, guys, I'm not referring to the Super Duty name. I'm referring to a Class 3 truck, 14,000-pound gross vehicle weight rating and below. And these trucks all fall in that category. It is amazing the type of power that these trucks can put on the road. And again, it's because of the hard work, dedication of guys like David that focus on improving the product, making it a better product, a more reliable and more robust product that allows you guys to go to a dealership, pick up a truck like this, and have a truck out of the gate with, what's the horsepower, what's the torque on this, 475?
475 horsepower at 2,600 RPM and 1,050 foot-pounds at 1,600 RPM.
10 years ago, whoever would have thought that you could get a 3/4 ton pickup truck with 1,050 pound-feet of torque? That's nuts. Anyways, guys, we're going to be on the road for a bit longer. We have actually quite a drive to get out to where we're going. I can't wait till we subject this to some off-road use as well as the towing demonstration that we'll be doing a little bit later on. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we will talk to you again very soon.